anymore. We don't make good deals anymore.
My philosophy on radical Islamic terrorism is very simple. We win, they lose.
The world is a better place. It's a safer place when we are the strongest military in the world.
I believe we have an obligation to help people who live in the shadows.
We were fiscally responsible. We took leadership positions. We were innovative.
We must restore our place as the leader and indispensable power of the free world.
We are going to make America great again.
This country will rid our planet of ISIS.
We have to look at ISIS as the leading threat of an international terror network.
The world is a very dangerous place, but not too dangerous of a place for the United States of America.
This is an incredibly complicated region of the world.
This world, with American leadership, can and must come together to destroy him.
We've got to understand the complexity of the world that we are facing, and no place is more so than in the Middle East.
Hello and welcome to RIT's first ever presidential debate. I am Paul Zini, also known as Hunter 87, and I shall be the moderator today. Our candidates today are Evan Hirsch and Angus Chow. I'm going to break down the format that we're going to use here today first, and then we'll get right into it. So, to start off, we'll have an introduction for each candidate, and after that we'll go into 3 different sections of topics. Each topic, the candidates will have 2 minutes to respond first to the question, and then we'll have 6 minutes of open discussion. And then after those 3 topics, we'll get into questions from the chat, and that will be it. So to start off, Angus, why don't you give us a little introduction about who you are and why you're running for president?
All right, so for those who don't know me, my name's Angus Chow. I'm also known as Power1337. I used to be a player for the collegiate Overwatch scene here at RIT. I used to be Paul Zini's teammate. What's up, man? So the reason why I'm running for president is because over the past couple months, I would say, I've been noticing there's been a very big disconnect between the e-board and the players, and how the way everything was run and a lot of things that were just going on were just leaving a really bad taste in my mouth. And so I feel that if I became president, I would be able to go fix a lot of these problems and hopefully lead us into a new age of prosperity.
Great, thank you, Angus. Evan, why don't you give us an introduction of yourself?
Sure. So, hi, my name is Evan Hirsch. Some of you might know me as Dad. Yeah, I get that it's weird. I helped create RIT Esports, and for the past 8 months, I have been thinking about and working on this organization every day as your vice president. Working with and talking to you all for the past 2 semesters has been an absolute pleasure, one that I would have immense joy in continuing. Being the president in the future is a position I believe I have more experience with than anyone in this organization, especially to handle in the future. Peter, our current president, has been preparing me for this position since October, and I've learned a lot about leadership, working with the administration, and interacting with other organizations by being under his wing. While I have learned a lot from Peter, and we share many of the same ideas and values, the one big difference between his leadership style and mine is that I'm generally more open in my communication. I share work in progress, I promote interaction with ideas and concepts, and I implore anyone to argue with me against any one of my ideas. I'm a debater at heart, so I keep an open mind. One such idea, actually, that came to me recently was the committee system, and that ended up being an absolute wild success, and something I plan on doing again in the future. In fact, if you elect me as your president, I promise to take this organization to the next level. Tonight, you'll hear my plan to build RIT Esports version 2.0. I will do this by improving professionalism with the org, opening future development of our organization with a Trello board and frequent public addresses about progress to address communication issues, and intuitively promoting our organization on campus and beyond through collaboration with clubs such as EGS and Smash, and through video platforms such as Twitch. Phase 1 of building RIT Esports is complete, and vote for me, and together we can build Phase 2. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, both. Now we're going to get into our first topic of the day. And this topic is going to be about expansion of the club. So to get into more details, we're talking about, if anybody followed the Discord, you saw that Angus and Evan had a discussion about globally versus locally in terms of, do we go to restaurants nearby and try and get their support, or are we looking way farther in advance in terms of what sponsors are we looking at? Are we looking at Razer? Are we looking at a local restaurant? Somebody beeping?
No?
I do not know what that... Never mind, that was the timer. I apologize.
That's alright.
Mine great start.
My alarm going off?
Mine just went off too, dude.
Great start to the debate. Anyway, back
No
on the
problem.
topic. So we're talking about expansion, sponsors, how we're reaching freshmen, all this sort of stuff, how we're going to expand the club. Since Angus started off with intros, Evan, I'll have you start off with this question.
Absolutely, no problem. So in terms of expansion of the club, this is something I've been thinking a lot going forward, as this past semester has really just kind of been about structuring the teams that we already have. Now, many months ago, back in November, I actually wrote a full document about the marketing and demographics about RIT esports when building a straw man proposal for the varsity esports program. And I outlined a few things and priorities for who we should target at what point. So we're a new type of club, to the point where I really wouldn't even call us a club, I'd call us an organization. We don't operate like any college club has, to the point where we actually require a brand new way of thinking about the promotion of a collegiate team. We live in almost kind of a digital stadium, in essence. We don't have a physical stadium, so we have to kind of promote ourselves in an interesting way. So actually, I see global and local involving that as almost the same concept. Demographics, in terms of the people and what their interests are honestly more of an issue when targeting than where they are. In terms of sponsors, I see us targeting, well, both. I see sponsors from the local area and hopefully sponsors from the general esports community. Local sponsors that already work with our existing RIT athletic teams are definitely sponsors that we will talk to, except for them, esports might be a little weird to get into, but we'll try to ease their mind about it. And global sponsors would be your usual esports sponsors, such as Razer and whatnot. And ultimately, just to kind of quick sum up, freshman outreach also is one of my top priorities moving forward. I've talked numerous times about a fall tryout that's going to specifically target freshmen, a career fair booth, and honestly, promoting esports club to freshmen is like advertising cookies to the Cookie Monster. So I don't really think that ultimately we'll have much of a problem there. And that's that.
Great. Now on to you, Angus.
All right. So Evan ended up touching about a couple things that I sort of agree with, but not fully. In my opinion, that we should start more on local, where our first target demographic should be the students of the RIT campus, because they're the quote-unquote easy people to target and get attached to our organization, to our teams, because a lot of people here at RIT have a lot of school pride. You can see that easily in the hockey games, the basketball games, or any other sport games. Now, a major problem with this is that right now we don't have any. Like, people don't know who we are. I've talked to people who live across the hall from me. We put up posters for advertising tryouts. They didn't really know it was a serious thing. And that's a big problem. We need to go get the target demographic of the people on campus, because that also targets to the people off the RIT alumni, which also networks. And also the people, if RIT students are into us, for example, they're into our streamers, right? They go, they talk, they like us streaming, they tell their friends, and their friends start watching, and their friends can also move to, say they have a friend at BU, and say, oh, hey, I like one of the guys on the RIT esports organization as a streamer, or I've seen their plays. You can go see them too when they live stream. When it comes to which starts globally expanding us as well as locally expanding us at the same time. But we should honestly focus on what we're on, focus on to the RIT demographic first. And so going to that, like the sponsors that we should be getting, I want to say we shouldn't necessarily get like a local restaurant per se, because the thing is that a lot of other companies will actually, that aren't really local, that are more global, but still have a well-known reputation. For example, I've been talking with HK Army, because I'm already sponsored with them, and I'm trying to extend our sponsorship, my paintball sponsorship, to this organization to get us jerseys and
wrap
all
up your thought, Angus.
Yeah. And then from those sponsors, like after getting the HK sponsor, we can hopefully get peripherals and other stuff that we need. And then we could move to a bigger esports sponsor like Razer.
All right. Evan, what's your response to that? Do you think Angus' views are realistic?
Yeah, so ultimately, I think when it comes to promotion on campus, Angus has the right idea with we need to do a better job. However, I think he shows a fundamental misunderstanding for the demographics of our campus to group everybody into one large group of people. Because fundamentally, just if there was just one big demographic, then there wouldn't be RIT esports and EGS. We have two demographics on campus: people who want to play competitively and the general student body. And what we've done in our advertising campaign is try our very best to target and recruit people from the competitive community to our organization. The main thing is we're really kind of going for tryouts first, and then after that, we wanted to kind of structure and branch out into a full organization once we had enough teams to the point where we would have individual fans on campus that would know more about our club. Because I want people to not just know about us, I want them to also care about us. And that's a fundamental difference, I think, in our advertising philosophies.
How do you feel about that, Angus?
I feel that when we were talking about this, I feel like we have a very similar idea where I don't want people just to know about us. I want people to love us. And that's the whole point of like getting people attached to, say, our streamers, for example. Say in the downtime, people are streamers. And so because they're streamers and because they have their own personalities, it caters to the people who watch us. And if it caters enough to the people who watch us, people will enjoy it. And then once people enjoy it, they can easily just tell their friends more and more about us and try to get our name across not only our campus, but even to other campuses across the nation.
Okay, so it seems like you're both pretty much in agreement for the most part.
Correct.
Focuses. Would you guys agree with that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Should we move on to the next topic then, or does anybody else have anything to add?
No, I think we agree very much so on the fact that we need to kind of target more. I think the only real disagreement is exactly who we're targeting first and just kind of priorities of marketing on campus.
Yeah, pretty much. He prefers more global, and I'm saying a slightly bit more local.
No. I said specifically. Well, actually, I guess we'll just kind of start the response timer here because I would like to respond.
Okay.
So in terms of this, I eventually see absolutely a global outreach. So I'm looking right now at the marketing branding content that a document that I've created. And if Twitch chat is not running fast, which it doesn't seem to be, I just threw it in there. Ultimately, I have created a marketing document a while ago on exactly who we need to target when. Now, competitive gamers on campus are the first people that I wanted us to target. The student body is the second, and afterwards, we target general esports fans. That's going to be, each demographic's ordered in priority because of exactly how easy it would be for us to target them. Competitive gamers on RIT's campus, obviously the easiest. The general student body who might not watch esports, a little tougher. But ultimately, what we need to do is we need to create an engaging experience for our audience, and that is something that fundamentally I think I have, or at least I have conceptualized involving Discord, involving Twitch, involving all these platforms. Because knowing about us is not enough; they have to be able to engage.
All right, great. So let's move on to the next topic then, unless Angus you need to respond. But
nah,
right.
Let's move on to the next one.
Okay, so our second topic will be about the structure of the club. So this is pretty broad. So this is going to be, in general, how decisions are made. Things like, are we using committees for, and what are we using committees for? Is the general community involved? That sort of stuff. And then in terms of professionalism versus esports culture, internet culture, that's been a big debate in the Discord recently if you've been following along. And also like the number of chat rooms and how they're moderated, code of conduct, all this sort of stuff. Evan started on the last one, so Angus, I'll let you start on this one.
All right. I would say for decisions made with committees and all that stuff, there needs to be enough committees to help with the process of what the president and the e-board decide to do. A lot of tasks need to be delegated, and if a president, like one person or an e-board in this case, can't really do it all alone. And so they need help from trusted people within the community to be able to get some of these tasks accomplished. Because at the end of the day, the president and vice presidents are the ones really making the decisions, where the e-board is about 4 or 5 people, including the treasurer, secretary, vice president, and president. And since you're having 2 people make some pretty big decisions, not that much can get done in terms of efficiency. So being able to delegate tasks to separate committees to get the tasks done will help a lot. And when it comes, for example, the Code of Conduct Committee finally created us a code of conduct. And that leads to the professionalism versus esports culture. Now, I understand that some people have hot-headed personalities. I technically fall under that case, admittedly. Now, when it comes to general professionalism, we should be business casual, but we shouldn't be sprouting around curse words every other minute. Or like having aggressive assaults towards other people, or just in general having very toxic behavior. When it comes to streaming and stuff like, when it comes to streaming, it should still be upheld, but it should be held slightly looser if that is how you 100% play video games that way. And sure enough, there should be delegation within the code of conduct on saying what you can or cannot say, but it's like a few minor curse words will be acceptable in that situation if that fits within your personality. And
you're out of just wrap up with that.
That's really it.
Okay. Evan, what are your thoughts on it?
Okay, so in terms of the structure of the club, this is something also that I've thought a lot about because especially when I was working on creating this organization and actually building it within Golisano. So one of the first things, I guess, involves kind of using the committee system. Now, I guess one good thing about me is that I have the experience of running this org and trying things and failing. So I tried the doing it on your own aspect earlier in the semester for the Code of Conduct. I thought it was something I could build by myself. I thought that it was something that just one person could really handle the entire brunt of. And I was wrong. Ultimately, committees have been an absolute rousing success. I don't only plan on just actually keeping the committee system we have, but actually making it a more integral process of how this organization runs. Having feedback from the players, having feedback from the community, having feedback from everyone has honestly helped the past few weeks make this organization much better, like exponentially better. And I really like it. In terms of professionalism versus esports internet culture, the one thing I want to do is I don't want to use the harsh reality of the esports field and of gaming as kind of an excuse for not trying the best we can to actually make esports professional. We have the potential to be just as recognized as athletics. And if we fundamentally decide to stick with esports culture and stick with internet culture, we'll never be taken seriously on that level, ever, as an organization. Now, I guess next up, quickly, moving to how the Discord is managed and moderated. Everybody knows my opinions on the moderation. I think that we should have a public interface with the community. I think that public interface with the community is important and vital to getting people to actually care about our club and organization, not just know about it. And ultimately, the number of channels isn't really, I think, that big of an issue or a deal. I think that it's something that we're all kind of deciding together as a community as time moves on. And fundamentally, I'm really open to any ideas that people have.
All right, Angus, so what are your opinions on what Evan was saying there, in terms of he seems a lot more on the professional side than you do, perhaps?
I would say that there needs to be some point where there needs to be a give and take between the professional and unprofessional behavior between for players, because if it's within their personalities and how people are naturally considered toxic, even though they're not trying to be, there needs to be a little bit of leeway for them, because as much as they try to clean it up, it's just within their natural behavior to act in some certain way like that. And there should be moderation within a public Discord, but at the same time, you have a lot of things are related to context, and context is huge when it comes to a public Discord and moderators, because some things can be taken out of context and it will always look bad. But at the same time, if it's in context and the context easily reads a joke is made, then the moderation on that has to be slightly more, like, only slightly relaxed.
Okay, Evan, what do you think about that? Do you think there
So
should be
I
more
think this is
reasonable if people are like that naturally?
So I think actually we've finally found our first major point of contention. I think, look, no one's perfect, and when you come into this organization, I doubt someone's going to be this perfect, like, saint who's not going to make any mistakes. It doesn't happen. That's unrealistic. However, if you come into this organization, you are expected to play by, to communicate by, to live by certain standards, right? These standards aren't really negotiable. These aren't this isn't, we're not bartering with the rules here. We have specific rules because these rules help us look like a professional organization and get taken more seriously. People who use this toxic culture, right? That's what's going to not get us sponsors. That's what's going to make people not want to interact with or participate with or care with our organization. And fundamentally, if you care enough about esports and you care enough about playing like a professional and helping RIT win, this should be a complete non-issue for any player who wants to join us.
Angus?
Yeah.
I feel like that you can get away with a small amount of toxicity. If you look at professional players, for example, Simple, right? He was playing for Team Liquid. He had all their sponsors. He was known to be one of the most toxic players on Team Liquid. That's major contingency on why he ended up becoming a streamer for them, waiting for his contract to run out before he went back home. Sure enough, the official story said he was missed home. But if you honestly looked at the communication between him and Adren, a lot of toxic behavior was going on. If you listen to the in-game comms, a lot of toxic behavior was going on. Yet, they were still playing, they're still acting, they're still getting results. He was still getting sponsored, Team Liquid was still doing everything, but he just had enough of it. And so, there has to be a give-take between the toxicity of the player. Sure enough, the player should put his best effort in, but if it's within their personality, it's kind of hard to change someone's personality that drastically.
Okay, well, I think we discussed that pretty well. Just moving on to.
Oh wait, no, I'd actually like to make a response to that, if that's okay.
Sure, go for it.
I think, yeah, there's time within it. Perfect. All right, so to kind of finish up my response to this, you already kind of stated that just overall the scene when it came to Team Liquid was toxicity, right? And the problem is that the toxicity ultimately is what caused this. There was really no preventative rule set in Team Liquid for what was toxicity, and what it ended up happening is that Simple ended up leaving. Right? You said it yourself. This team just didn't work when toxicity was promoted or allowed. The toxicity within our organization is just going to get people to leave, is just going to get teams to disband, is going to ultimately just break our organization as a fundamental whole. Like, we cannot allow this. It really just cannot stand within our organization. Because we create rules so that people have a framework to work together, right? Allowing people to bend or break those rules breaks people apart and makes this system, which has recently, in the past few months, not worked out very well, work even less.
Like I said, there should be a give-take between the player and the organization. Sure enough, our organization should have rules, but there 100% needs to be a give-take, because the thing is, the player, even if that's international behavior, they can't act that way 100% of the time. It's gonna come out, and so there has to be some leeway in the rules so that it can come out. Because a lot of pent-up toxicity, the more it's pent up, the worse it's going to come out when it comes out.
There is leeway. We call that severity of punishments.
That's not really leeway if it's a punishment in that case.
No, it doesn't work that way, because toxicity might adversely affect one person. Okay, like, toxicity isn't just about you. This isn't just like a stress release. Okay, toxicity can negatively impact some of the players within our organization. And fundamentally, we just cannot have that for the benefit of one person. As I like to say, just suck it up and deal with it.
All right. I think we've both stated your points on this. I think we all know where you stand on this. So I think we're going to move on now. We'll move on to our third topic, which is about the future of the club. So this is basically asking, what is this club going to look like a year from today if you are elected president? What are your goals? What do you think you can realistically accomplish that can better the club and is a reason that people should vote for you? We started with Angus last time, I believe. So Evan, you can start.
All right. So in terms of ultimately the future of the club, where the club will be 1 year from now with me as president, ultimately just what I've been doing for the past year is kind of develop where do we go next? What is the next part in the development of RIT esports? And earlier, actually yesterday, I published a platform. The platform that I want to do is to take RIT esports to the next level. Oops, forgot to start my timer. But what we want to do in the future is, I think we have built up a pretty sizable amount of teams within our organization. Some might say a little too fast, and I'd agree. And what I want to do is I want to slow our roll, and I want to kind of build up the management and structure of our teams. One thing I want to do is very much work on professionalism within the organization. As I've stated earlier, I think that our organization should become much more professional than we currently are in order to be taken seriously in the future. And now, what do I actually hope to get done? The main goal for me is I want people to actually care about RIT esports, just like Angus. Except I like to think I put a lot of thought into this by using technology, by using structures such as a brand new website that I've been working on with a group of IT grad students that is going to show scores, that's going to track games, and also build up our Twitch presence, our web presence. Because while we want to promote to people on campus, right, we are a digital club. 95% of what we do is online. Very few people even come to lab practices every week. And ultimately, we need to understand that. That is how we attract people. That is how we get people. We might say, for example, advertise them in real life, but eventually, the base idea is I want RIT and our RIT esports and our players to become better. I want more people to know about us, and I want us to be seen as a professional organization in the eyes of many.
All right, Angus, what are your response?
All right. For the future of this club, I want to see this club grow. That is the biggest thing I want to see. And then within a year, doing the best I can, one of the first things I'm going to do is trying to get a going FGC scene going on from this club. And I'm going to try and get the funds to go send them off to local tournaments within the Rochester, Buffalo, Syracuse area. Getting our name out that way is, in my opinion, a little bit better of a way to get our name out, because those players hopefully would be getting results. And the best way to get your name out is getting results at locals, at weeklies, even to majors. And so I want to get that name out. I want to build a funding for this club so that we don't necessarily have to rely 100% on RT's monies to do events, travel, to go to LANs and everything like that. I'm a big, heavy FGC player. I've been playing fighting games, Melee, Marvel, and all that stuff. And that presence is not really existent in this club. And I want to try and grow that, and even hopefully get sending people off to EVO, the biggest fighting game, as promotion to get the RT name out, because all the players would be having the RT sponsor tag. And that's one major way to get the club going. It's to be a really good way to get sponsors. With our current sponsorship that I'm trying to work on, that I'm currently also working on, hopefully we'll get merchandise to be able to sell to people on campus and to people who are interested into us.
Thank you, Angus. So Evan, you heard a lot of Angus's points were very focused on getting locally, right? How do you why do you think that your method is going to be more effective than his?
So I think Angus's perspective on how to promote an organization is really shaped by the FGC. And I appreciate that and I respect that. It's why I consult him on that. It's why I've also consulted Wedge, who is a very good MVC player, and want to also work with them about building a sort of FGC incubator squad within our organization for FGC games that are too small to have teams. However, I think that it is also shaped by the fact that the FGC is local only. The FGC is not nearly as global and structured globally as other esports. FGC has physical weeklies. It's the reason EGS has pivoted towards it, and it's the reason the Smash Club is as popular as it is. I think that it's a great perspective to have, and it's absolutely something we should target, but functionally, it is not even close to I'd argue, the only route that this club and organization should be taking.
I guess what's your response to that?
I mean, it's not going to be the only route we're taking, but in the infancy of this club, because we literally just became an official club this semester, is that it's the easiest way to get promotion out there into the surrounding community, so we can get so we can start growing bigger and bigger. Because for a lot of fighting game players, they just want the RIT tag behind their name, a squad to rep. And so once the RIT tag gets out there, people will start looking into us more and more. And once people start looking to us more and more, they'll see how we have an Overwatch team or a CSGO team that's performing really well. And once those people get interested into those games, it will just start spreading and spreading.
So I guess, yeah, I'd like to respond. So my response to that is, so more or less the FGC, right? Great. I love them, right? Honestly, watching EVO, one of my favorite things every year. And I would absolutely kill to see like someone there from RIT. But I think that the promotion for the FGC, your incessant focus on the FGC, is really kind of, we need to promote to students on campus first, not just the FGC. The FGC on campus is pretty small, and promoting to students through just creating by collaborating on on-campus events with EGS and Smash, by putting out more promotion, by creating more content and kind of promoting that content, right, will absolutely draw our local scene and our local community first. When I say local, I mean RIT local to us, as I outlined in my marketing branding demographics document. And what we want, it's basically, as I said earlier, like trying to advertise a cookie to the Cookie Monster. I think this is a fundamental, easy thing to do, but also, yeah, keeping them engaged is the tough and hard part. I don't think the FGC is really going to promote that as much as just our local campus.
All right, I want to switch a little bit from, because we're focusing on expansion right now, sort of. I want to switch a little bit to focusing on the players, the future of the players in this club, and what goals you hope to achieve for them in terms of, are you going to be looking into things like player houses or scholarships, or Angus, you were talking about sending FGC players to tournaments, that sort of stuff. So Angus, what would you try and achieve for players, or what do you think you can
one quick question for the moderator. This is still 2-minute initial time.
This is going to be 1 minute still. It's still part of the same topic. It's just a more different focus.
All right, for all this stuff for the players, I'm going to be trying to get players scholarships with the school. I'm going to go and try to send them off to lands if they can't afford them, or if there is for example, tournament fees, I'll try to get the organization to go cover them for them so that they don't have to pay out of pocket, and hopefully if RIT doesn't refuse to go pay for it as well. An esports house would be hard to set up because there will be a lot of people going in and out, and there's a lot of people within this organization. So we would have to go raise a lot of money to go pay for the rent of a lot of houses, which I don't see we can do in the next year or the next 2 years. It might take a little bit more time depending on how much money we end up raising from fundraisers and events around campus with other clubs, and how much we make off of merchandising once people start getting interested in us.
Okay. Evan, what are your thoughts?
So in terms of player development, this is honestly the biggest thing that I've been thinking about over the past year. How do we make our players better? How do we make our teams better? And this is something that I think we are doing an awesome job of working with. A few months ago, actually, not even, back in November, much more than that, I worked on creating a proposal for a varsity esports program here at RIT. This program is essentially going to help the development of our teams and ultimately cements RIT as a major esports school by hiring professional coaches, hopefully. And these, just to clarify, right, these are things that we proposed that may or may not happen. Scholarships, right? Things such as scholarships, things such as coaches, creating an actual structure to help our players and help our teams is honestly one of my #1 priorities. And ultimately, building and using funding, club funding for things such as tournament entry fees is awesome, and I want to do that too. But I guess going forward, my biggest priority is helping our RIT get better and our players get better.
Okay, great. Does anyone have any final comments they want to make on any of these topics before we move on?
I don't have any. Evan, you?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay, great. So now we're going to move on to Twitch questions. I'll start off with a couple of questions for each of you before I take the questions from chat, but you can start typing your questions in chat now. So to start off, Angus, one common criticism I see of you is that you've made in the past, you've made a lot of racy sort of remarks, you know what I mean? Sometimes
yeah, I understand.
Language that's not so great. How can the RIT esports community expect you to be our president when we've seen that sort of past behavior and be professional?
All right, so when it comes to being professional, all that stuff, I learned a lot of things when growing up in an orchestra, where during rehearsals it would be just me and my friends within the orchestra. We're just having fun, joking around, make really questionable comments and all that stuff. But the second that we went to a concert, the second that we had performed, second we had to get serious, it was completely business. I was one of the most professional people there, and my conductor actually commended me for it. And that was only because, well, that a lot of things came out to that, because I would always be the last one out, always be the one helping out. And so in this position of being president, I understand it's a very serious matter and it shouldn't be taken like as a joke. And so it's going to, side of me that rarely ever comes up within the main Discord will come up, and where I've become a professional, I'll be the head of an organization that will be proud, that people are proud of, and that you can look upon me and they'll understand that when the going gets tough, he gets tougher, and he just rolls with everything and doesn't rebuttal back. He just takes everything in a professional and serious manner.
All right, thank you, Isaac. Or Angus, sorry. And Evan, for you, my question is going to be about another criticism labeled at you is going to be in terms of transparency for the past semester or so. I think we can all agree that's been pretty poor. There's been a lot of, oh, I really want to tell you guys about this. There's something really exciting coming around the corner. How are you going to continue to be the same if you become president, or is it going to be more transparent, that sort of deal?
God, I hope I'm not the same. So, I guess, all right. So the main reason that it's kind of been, oh man, I can't wait to tell you guys about this, is because I've been working with the administration and I've been working on Chad Whedon on projects that help the esports scene at RIT grow that I legitimately could not talk about. I wanted to. And I mean, Chad might kill me for saying this, but at Overwatch team dinners, I even let this stuff slip because I can't keep my mouth shut. I love talking. I cannot stop talking. If you've ultimately, this is something that I really, really want to fix in the future. I want to let everybody know everything that we're doing. And that's actually baked deep into my platform, that as president, I want to go for a different type of management style. I want to let everybody know what we're doing as we're doing it. I want people to comment on ideas. I want people to, if we're doing something too slow, you'll see that we're doing it. And that is not something that's going to happen in the future. I've realized that open sourcing, right, the whole development process allows for ultimately better standards across all grounds.
I agree. Yeah. Thank you. Let's see if we have any Twitch questions. If you're in the chat right now and you have a question, post it up. What is your plan for kicking Isaac out of the org? Well, we all know that. Alright, from Quinn, or Kazim TV, we have, if you can sum up the goal of RIT esports in one sentence, what would it be? Evan, we'll start with you.
If I wanted to sum up the goal of RIT esports in one sentence, what would it be? So the goal of RIT esports, it's been kind of a mission statement for a while that I want to make RIT as competitive in esports as possible, and I want to help the growth and development of all of our players within the organization. If you are not, what I've been saying for a while is, if you do not come out of RIT esports a better player than you did when you came in, then we have not done our job. This is something I want to fundamentally fix. I want our school to be the best school for esports in not just the Northeast, not just the country, but like the world. It's a crazy goal, I know. It's an ambitious goal. But it is a goal that drives me every single day to get up and be ambitious and think and love what I do. And ultimately, I think that's the best way of thinking.
That was a very long sentence. Angus, can you come up with a longer one?
I know.
I will actually not come up with a longer one. I'll come up with a shorter one.
Glad to hear it.
My goal for RT Esports is to put RT on the map for esports. I want our players to get better and better until they can compare to other collegiate teams such as Rutgers or UC Berkeley and all that stuff, who are well-known teams. And I want to put us on the map and want us to be known.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Let's see, our next question. What makes you think you're qualified to be president of RIT Esports? Do you have prior experience running a huge club like this? Let's start with Angus.
All right. I do have some qualifications where currently in college right now, I'm playing for the RIT Tigers as a paintball team. I've been the captain of their B line this semester, and I was the captain of C line last semester. In high school, I was the captain of my robotics team after a year because I just showed exemplary leadership and helped out so often. I was a pretty big person within my orchestra. I was helping out all the time and making sure everything was getting done and it getting done correctly. I believe that I do have the necessary traits to lead us into my vision, into the goal of the organization through these traits.
All right, great. Evan?
All right. So the main thing when it came to just the honestly, could you repeat the question? Sorry. I was looking
at chat. The question is, what makes you think you're qualified to be president of RIT?
Of course. Oh God, how could I forget this one? So in terms of qualifications for the presidency, I have been running a large esports organization for the past few months. In fact, it's been this one. I've been running this organization with Peter, and I have been shadowing Peter. I've been shadowing our current president. I've been taking notes of what he does well. I've been taking notes of what he has not done well. Not what he has not done well, but what I think I would change. And ultimately, I think that I've really learned a lot from my experience in the past few months. I have learned a lot in terms of transparency. I've learned a lot in terms of getting things done, making promises and working together. I ultimately believe that I can be the best possible president for the future because I have learned from mistakes when it comes to management. And I have done, and I promise to do the best job I can going forward.
All right, thank you. Now we have two questions, one for each of you. They're sort of similar to the questions I asked, but I'll let you answer them quickly. From new user 1290, for Angus, how can we be certain that you'll be professional even after we vote for you? How do we know you're not just temporarily changing in order to buy votes?
All right, so I can't promise that anything I say right now doesn't mean anything because actions speak louder than words. And because of that, I'm willing to show it in the future. I've only had a small time to do it, but I'm trying to show it. Where I'm trying to become less toxic, and I've honestly been wanting to do this for a little bit. It's in my personality where I come off as hot-headed, and over the past couple months, I've been working on it and trying to cool it off. And so not only do I want to change to be less toxic, to not being zero toxicity at all, but I feel like this is also a really good starting point to be that new person where I'm not toxic. And like I said, anything right now doesn't. You can't take it for certain because words mean nothing. Actions speak louder than words, and I'm willing to go and show.
Right, thank you, Angus. And in a similar vein, Evan, throughout the next semester, from Perplexity, she says, throughout the next semester, you said you would finish things within the next week, and throughout the semester delayed those promises. Why can we trust your promises now?
Because ultimately, I think in the last semester, I really kind of, I didn't really think, I thought I could do a lot. I thought I could put everything on my plate and I'd have the ability to work on things and get things done faster than I could. I didn't really delegate as much as I should. And honestly, I didn't even think of the committee system, which has recently fixed so many problems and has been an absolute fantastic way for us to gain input from us and to also, or to gain input from the organization and also to get things done on a faster, quicker timetable. I also think that transparency puts management's ass under a fire. And we have the ability now to really, like, when people actually know about things and things are constantly being reminded to us, I think we have the ability to work more efficiently. As a developer, I know that open source gives me higher standards to build. And I think that as when I build anything, keeping it open and keeping it easy to visibly see allows everybody to hold management more accountable about promises and all of that.
All right, great. I think we're going to cut off questions now. I'll give you each a minute or two to make your final statement, and then we'll stop the debate. So I believe Angus started first when we started the intro, so Evan, you can start with your closing statement.
Yep. So I guess ultimately the main thing that I want to talk about is, as you know, this is all about the future of RIT esports. I believe that we have the ability to take this organization to the next level and build what is ultimately the greatest esports organization to exist. I think we have that potential. I think we are in the right spot, in the right place, in the right time. I think fundamentally, the potential that exists right here, right now, within this organization is some of the most potential I've ever seen from anything, like any organization almost in my life. And I am so absolutely excited to work on this organization every single day, creating what I think is the most awesome thing to happen on RIT's campus in decades. And ultimately, what I want to do in the future is is to make players better. I want to build an organization and a structure that makes esports serious and makes people take us seriously. And I ultimately, and I've said ultimately a lot, but actually want to create the best organization possible.
Thank you, Evan. Angus?
Yeah.
All right. So when I look around within our Discord, I see a lot of potential. We have a potential to go far. We have potential to go to limitless heights. And as president, if you guys elect me, I'll put in, if a lot of people, for the people who don't know me, I always live by the motto of 150% or not at all. And I will put my 150% into this. I'll support all the players who are willing to go far. I know that I've made questionable decisions in the past, but the past is the past, and I'm looking towards the future and the present right now. And in the future, I want to see us grow. I want to push all of the talent. I want to push all the talent to the greatest heights they can go to.